Hi, everyone, and welcome to the draft in Pittsburgh. Paul Hendrick and Bob McGill. Bob, you were drafted way back when in 1980. The process then certainly has changed from what we're seeing now. It was important back then, obviously, but a lot different in terms of the networking and what went on. Take us back several decades ago as to what your experience was like.
Well, it was interesting. I went with my agent and a bunch of the different players from my team, actually, in the Victoria Cougars. We were all in Montreal for the draft. And, leading up to the draft, I think 2 days before the draft, I interviewed with 3 different teams. And then the day before the draft, I interviewed with a couple other teams, none of them being the Toronto Maple Leafs. And then on the day of the draft, I ended up being called 26th overall by the Maple Leafs. And obviously things, the rest is history, I guess you can say. But it was a very interesting process where you go into a room and they get, ask you all different kinds of questions. You have aptitude tests, different things like that, and pretty nerve-wracking, actually, as an 18-year-old kid facing all these different people and asking you questions and whatnot. But it was a great experience, and obviously when I got drafted, it was much relief.
Craig Muni went 25th overall that year. You go 26th, but the Leafs didn't necessarily have the 26th pick. The Washington Capitals did.
Yeah, they did. They chose Craig Muni on the 25th pick, and then they called a timeout, and there was a trade, and Mike Palmateer was traded to the Washington Capitals for Michel Picard and Tim Koulis, and then the 26th pick, and then they picked me 26th. So kind of interesting that I ended up playing with Mike Palmateer at a later time with the Maple Leafs. So pretty interesting.
Mike Palmateer as well, currently a scout with the Maple Leafs, certainly a familiar face around Ontario scouting, the Ontario Hockey League. For the latest from the draft in Pittsburgh, be sure to log on to mapleleafs.com or follow us on Leafs TV.